The country of Georgia, located between Turkey and Russia, is famous for its cheese breads. Now, these breads can come in a variety of styles and shapes and sizes, but the most famous one is this narrow, long canoe-shaped bread filled with molten cheese. And today, Bryan's going to show us how easy it is to make at home.
That's right. We're going to be making Adjaruli Khachapuri. So I'll break it down into its elements there. Adjaruli means it's from the region of Georgia called Adjara. And Khachapuri can be broken down to mean hacha, which is cheese curd, and puri, which means bread.
Makes sense.
Adjaran cheese bread. There you go. So we're going to start with the dough. And this is a simple dough that comes together in the food processor. It's about 60% hydration, and it's a really easy dough to make. So we have 1 3/4 cups of all-purpose flour in the food processor, and to that we're going to add 1 1/2 teaspoons of sugar, 1 teaspoon of instant yeast, and 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt. That's table salt. And we're just going to process this to combine all the ingredients, about 3 seconds. Now, with the machine running, we're going to add our liquid. We have 1/2 cup plus 2 tablespoons of cold water, and I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil. This really helps to make the dough more pliable and easy to work with. So we'll turn the machine on and add this, and we're going to wait for the dough to come together as one cohesive ball. Okay, you can see that dough came together in a matter of seconds. It takes about 30 seconds.
Oh yeah, it's just like a sticky pizza dough.
So we're going to turn the dough out onto the counter. And we're just going to give it a few turns so it comes together nicely into a cohesive ball. To knead the dough by hand, you just give it a push and a 1/4 turn or so. And this is really just to make sure it all comes together as a cohesive ball. We're going to knead the dough for about a minute on the counter. Then I like to just spin it on the countertop here to make a nice tight ball. And we're going to place it into a grease bowl. We're going to let it rise at room temperature until it's nearly doubled in size, and that takes about 2 hours. I visited Brighton Beach in Brooklyn, New York, and I went to several Georgian restaurants to watch them shape this bread.
Oh, I bet that was fun.
It was really cool, and a couple of things I learned. One is that it could be very complicated. 2, that it doesn't have to be that complicated. So I'm going to show you one of the simpler versions of it. We're going to roll our dough out on a 16 by 12-inch sheet of parchment paper. That kind of acts like a ruler for us. We're looking for a 12-inch circle of dough.
Okay.
We'll flour it up. So we're going to place the dough on our floured parchment paper. I just want to press it out into about an 8-inch circle. It's easier to start this off, kind of eyeball the circle. I typically have a little bit of trouble rolling perfect circles, but I'm feeling like I'm going to be lucky today. Okay, so once we've got about an 8-inch circle, we're going to go with the rolling pin. We're going to push it out to about 12 inches. We're good. Throughout Georgia, there are many different ways to shape khachapuri, but Adjara happens to be on the coast of the Black Sea, and so they make a little boat shape. So we're going to begin by rolling in the dough by about 2.5 inches, and we're going to spin the parchment paper and roll the other half in, and we're looking for about 7 inches from side to side. Great. And now we could take our end pieces here and we're going to roll them into the center line. And then we just pinch. Okay, again, we'll do the same with the other side. And then again, we just pinch the sides. And we just want to make sure that we have our 7 by 12-inch shape still.
Right, because you want enough room in the center for the cheese.
Right, because we have a lot of cheese. Right, and one other benefit of rolling this out on the parchment paper is that it makes this shape easier to transfer to the baking sheet.
It's a sling.
Yeah. All right, so now we're just going to cover this lightly with plastic wrap. And we're going to let it rise a second time until it's just slightly puffy, and that takes about 30 minutes. Our dough has been proofing for about 30 minutes. You can see it's nice and lightly puffed, and we are ready to talk cheese.
All right.
So traditionally in Georgia, they'd use a combination of Sulguni and Imruli cheeses. Sulguni is very similar to mozzarella, and it's very stretchy. And Imruli is a brined cheese, similar to feta. And since we can't get those Georgian cheeses here on a consistent basis, we are in fact going to use mozzarella and feta. 6 ounces of each of these is about 1.5 cups of each. And then toss them together in this bowl. And you want to really finely crumble the feta, because we're going to want to make sure at the end that all this cheese is nice and smooth inside our little cheese boat. So this seems like a lot of cheese for this little boat.
Sure does.
And that's because it definitely is a lot of cheese for this little boat. But the boat won't sink.
It's not going to overflow?
It's not going to overflow. I mean, if a couple of little strands jump ship, that's okay. But we want to mount it up in the center. And as this cooks, it's fill in all those crevices and come out nice and even.
Okay.
So we're going to cook this for about 15 minutes in a 450-degree oven.
Super hot.
What we're looking for is for the cheese to start bubbling and to be browned in spots. Julia, let's take a look at this.
Goodness.
You can see the crust is nice and brown and the cheese is bubbling and beginning to brown in spots as well. So I would say this is a near perfect specimen of Adjaruli Khachapuri.
And all the cheese fit in the boat. None of it spilled over the
That's
edges.
right. But that's not all. We're going to add an egg yolk and a pat of butter to this and stir it in. So 1 egg yolk and 1 tablespoon of unsalted butter.
Goodness, so you're basically turning the cheese into a cheese sauce.
Exactly.
By adding just a little more richness.
Yes,
That egg yolk will cook through completely with the heat of the cheese, so it's very safe to eat.
exactly. So we're going to stir this up with the tines of a fork. This is the best tool for the job. Start off slowly until you get that egg yolk and the butter incorporated and melted. And we're going to just work it until those cheese curds melt in with the mozzarella. You can see there's going to be a perfect moment when the cheese is just cool enough and the curds are just melted enough that you can really get a nice tall cheese pull.
This definitely does seem like it's something you would do for company. That was a good one.
Yeah,
that was almost above your head.
that was nearly a record. I like to imagine in Georgia, along the Black Sea, they have contests for the largest cheese pull. Okay, so you can see that our feta curds are nicely incorporated to the mozzarella. It is cooled down enough to eat. So we're going to transfer our cheese boat to our platter.
Oh, that looks pretty.
And now, the best way to eat this
I was just about to ask you that.
is with your hands.
Yeah.
So I like starting off with a little point.
Okay.
Just go in, dig deep, and pull off a nice wad of cheese.
Oh, it's kind of like fondue in a way.
Yeah. Only a little better.
Usually feta, when you bake it, it's a little hard, a little crumbly, a little dried out. But this is lovely. It has that silky texture.
And that's thanks to the mozzarella. It really does its job here.
This has the perfect balance of flavor, a creamy texture, and that lovely warm bread, so that you don't actually ever get enough. You can just keep eating it. The snackability quotient is very high on this.
Exactly.
I could see this would be fun at a party.
Yes.
Bryan, this is incredible. Thank you.
Thank you.
So if you want to make this classic cheese bread, start with a simple pizza dough made in the food processor and let it rise on the counter. Roll the dough out and fold into a boat shape, then fill with a mixture of feta and mozzarella and bake until browned and bubbly. Before serving, stir in an egg and a namba butter. From Cook's Country, an incredible recipe for Adjaruli Khachapuri. You can get this recipe and all the recipes from this season, along with tastings, testings, and select episodes at our website, cookscountry.com/TV. This is definitely party food.
Thanks for watching Cook's Country from America's Test Kitchen. So what'd you think?
Leave a comment and let us know which recipes you're excited to make, or just say hi.
Now you can find links to today's recipes and reviews in the video description.
And don't forget to subscribe to our channel.
See you later.
Alligator.